welcome to episode 100. It is a landmark episode of the Blood Brothers podcast. It is nice for you to be here. Rob, how are you today?
I'm really, really good, thank you. I can't believe we've made it to 100 episodes.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? But great.
Absolutely.
We're sadly missing a Sean for our landmark because he's not feeling very well, so he's with us in spirit. And for our 100th episode, we've roped in, a guest of seismic proportions.
Yes.
Amazing. So hello to Kathy Reichs.
Hello. Nice to be here.
How are you?
100 episodes celebrate. It's wonderful to have you with us tonight, Kathy. Thank you.
I remember when we hit 100 episodes for Bones. We had a big party and
wow.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
I love how on the graph of importance here, we're slightly down a little bit on this one. But no, it's huge for us and we're so great. It's so grateful to celebrate it with you. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Please, could you tell us about your latest book?
The latest book, which is number 21 in the series, is Cold, Cold Bones. And it begins with Katie. Katie has retired from the Army, much to Tempe's relief. And so she's moved to Charlotte, much to Tempe's delight. And Tempe is helping her move into a new home. So they finish up a day of unpacking boxes and they go to Tempe's house to have dinner and they find a box on the back porch. And to their horror, inside the box is a human eyeball, a fairly fresh human eyeball. Sorry about that. And etched on the side of the eyeball are GPS coordinates. So, of course, our heroine has to follow up on that. It leads her to a Benedictine monastery where she makes another grisly discovery. Not long after, her boss sends her out to recover a body. A medical examiner, the coroner, sends her out to get a body in a state park. And it's a mummified corpse hanging from a tree, a probable suicide. But Tempe, there's this little nagging voice. There's something going on. There's something not right. And eventually she realizes that what's happening is someone is mimicking her earlier cases. There's a copycat killer out there creating deaths that are similar to ones she's worked on in her past. So she has to figure out why and who it is and shut it down.
I don't even know where to begin here, Kathy, because everything about what you've just said there is pure blockbuster entertainment for me. I need it intravenously, please, if you can do that.
Well, I really thought my return readers would get a kick out of it because it revisits about 5 or 6 of the earlier books in the series, and they can kind of guess, well, wait a minute, a mummified corpse in a tree, what book was that from? And yeah.
Oh, and this has for 2022 at least, and I'm going to have to look backwards as well to make sure, because I think this is the greatest opening line I've read this year. Like I love how you smell it because it really is. Readers, can I just listeners and readers, line 1 of this is 5 words. It began with an eyeball. And like, so I tried it on my kids earlier tonight. Sorry, that's not the greatest parenting of all time, possibly. But I said, if the opening book line of a book you were reading said it began with an eyeball, and all of them went, oh, like that, they were all like immediately like, they were throwing questions at me like, was it, what color was it? Like that kind of thing. Like what, was it? One of them said, was it open? I mean, it's like an eyeball. I mean, it's going to be open. Yeah. So, like, in terms of when you're sitting down to write, and I mean, wow, there's 2 questions here. Really, one is, do you, in terms of a blockbuster formula, do you have one?
I don't have one. I mean, I write thrillers. So, of course, somebody gets killed, somebody gets caught. It's what goes on in between that you have to work on. I do think a lot about my opening lines, though. And I can remember almost every opening line from all 20 books. Please don't ask me, but I think I can. Yeah, and that's an important line. You got to grab them right from the beginning.
Oh wow! Because we have so many listeners, Kathy, that are writers themselves who are looking for that breakthrough. I mean, obviously, and writers right the way through the spectrum. So learning from people like yourself is obviously a big thing to our listeners and ourselves, Chris.
Yeah,
It's a huge thing for us. So the importance of an opening line. Do you have any tips for us on that one?
It's hard to say. It should be. Well, every writer's different. I was going to say it should be short and pithy and, have a lot of punch, but some classical writers have very long opening lines. I just tend to my style has been described as minimalist through the whole book. So I like a fairly short, and, something that grabs you. You go, what?
Well, mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned there.
And it is a great start. I mean, the discovery is shocking, but the details, and it could be done sort of quite grotesquely, but there's humor in it as well. And is that something that you try to put in your books, or does it sort of just come naturally?
I do. And also the show. We've been described as a crimedy because we put, and that's really why I went with the particular combination, the gentleman that I did go with as our executive producers, is we were on the same page about a lot of things, one of which is we wanted to put in humor. And that's tough. I mean, that is because every episode and every book deals with violent death. So how do you do that and not be offensive? You really have to know when to do it and where to do it. And where not to do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Another question I would like to ask, because obviously, when you read as much as I imagine the three of us read, we're all readers at heart, aren't we? But I love the different styles and tropes that people use. And immediately, I mean, within 3 lines after you mention an eyeball on that opening page, you throw the date in there as well. The day and the date, and that immediately it grounded me so quickly in this, and I was so thrust along for the ride and dragged along helplessly, frankly. No, it's great. It's great. Absolutely brilliant. But is all of this second nature, or is it I imagine, is it a conscious decision, or is it a combination of the two?
I make a lot of conscious decisions as I go. I will start out with a vague storyline. I will have seen something in the news, or I will have seen a case that I worked on or whatever. And that's where I start. And then it's like, I think I've described it as like vegetable soup. It just slops around in my head for a while. All the different pieces begin to come together and to coalesce into a plot line. And then I'll do a little bit of an outline, not much. I'm not much of an outliner. And then I just start in writing. I can't really explain what I do because I don't have any training in creative writing. I just write the way I like books to go. That's totally non-helpful, right?
No, it is. Though it is, because it's like a suggestion of instinct as well, though, isn't it? Like you write from the hip.
I suppose, and as you say, being a reader and having read a lot of books, you know how they work, I guess. It's like deconstruction. You deconstruct a book and then the kind of book you like, and then write in that style.
And is it crime that you enjoy reading?
I do, not exclusively. I read all over the map. I do read crime. I have to keep up with other people to make sure if I'm going to start a book on, I don't know, trafficking in endangered species or something, Michael Connolly hasn't just done one in that. So I need to keep up with what's going on out there. But but I read all over the map. I just read this fascinating book, Eric Larson's book on the hurricane, Isaac Storm, a hurricane that took place in 1900 and killed like a bazillion people. And what else have I just read? When people ask me, what are you reading? I always go, duh, I don't know. Total blank. But.
And with your character, I mean, iconic character, is that, I guess this is a two-parter, but when you come back to your, do you know straight away where she's at in the world and in her life, or do you have to sort of go back and revisit that?
I had to do a lot of going back and revisiting because this storyline draws on books that I wrote 15, 20 years ago. So I didn't remember all the details. And thriller readers are very astute. And if you make a mistake, they will catch it. So if I had a character who was born in, I don't know, Edinburgh in book 2, that same character better still have been born in Edinburgh in book 20. So I did a lot of researching the very minutiae that I had created throughout the series. I think I've wandered away from your question, though. What was your question?
Just how is it coming back to that character each time?
Yeah, each book, that's something that each author has to address, is what are you going to do about the characters do you go in real time? Because over 20 years, she'd be getting pretty long in the tooth by now. And some authors have done that. They have actually aged their characters in real time. I haven't. I pick each book up like a couple months. Theoretically, I'm vague on dates, so I'm surprised that I gave dates. I probably didn't give the year.
You didn't at all. Just January 30th.
Okay, yeah. So when if that book ends, late February, early March, then I'll probably set the next book in, spring, late spring or something like that. So I have a vague cycle in which I put the characters.
Yeah. Wow. Because Chris, you were asking this. If I may, Chris, you're writing the 4th in your series at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you put the question out on Twitter: how does everyone keep tabs on what's going on in the lives of their characters?
Yeah, because it's been probably 2 years since I wrote the 3rd one, and it would always be my intention to write 3 because I quite like trilogies. But the character, I missed her sort of more than I thought I would. So I've got an idea for a 4th, but the thought of going back and reading previous books scares me a little bit because I really there's so many other good books out there that I don't want to waste time on mine. So I was wondering, is there some sort of shortcut? And that's kind of what I was picking your brain about there.
Well, I mean, I would assume you have files on your computer and you can do keyword searches if you need to check a particular fact.
Yeah,
I do a lot of that.
That's the way to go.
But there's no. Sorry, Chris. I was just going to ask. There's no sort of particular like you've not created a Bible for your world or characters, have you?
I've thought about that a lot, and I've said to myself, "You need to create a Bible for your characters." I have not done that. Well, maybe someone has done that out on and check and see if anyone's done that. Let me know, please.
We've on our 100th episode, we've had a lot of pleas out to listen, to readers, but that's the first we've ever had of that kind. Fabulous.
And how was it sort of revisiting your old books? Do you notice that your styles changed, or were there things that you thought, oh, I would have done that differently? Or
there are some things that have changed. When I go back to the very first book, for example, I used more metaphors and similes, and it's like every 3rd paragraph had one. So I've consciously cut back on that. But my style, I don't know if my style has changed that much. I started out, short chapters, short sentences, a real quick paced kind of a style. And I think I've pretty much stayed with that.
Yeah. I mean, this book, I picked up a few days ago, just thinking, I'll read a bit before I chat to you, but I've absolutely raced through it. It is like Rob said, you're being pulled along, and with the short chapters, it's always like, I'll read a little bit more, and then it's very late, and I'm very tired.
And very intentional cliffhangers at the ends of the chapters to hook you.
Yes. Yes. I have to be honest, Kathy. My shelves are not in the room that you can see me in right now, but they're absolutely stuffed with your books behind me here.
Thank you.
No, it's just wonderful. Do you have the same sort of, when you sit down to write again? So I presume that, like always, you're talking about a book that is kind of history for you at this point. You're probably 1 or 2 books ahead, I would imagine, in your own writing process.
Well, I'm well along in the next book, which is called The Bone Hacker, which will be out next August in the US. I'm not sure about over the pond, but yeah, so I'm so immersed in that book that I really have to review what was Cold Bones about. What did I do in this?
Yeah.
Even for daft interviews like this as well, I would imagine. But do you get that same, like, does it, right, here's the question. Does it ever get easier when you sit down to write another thriller?
No, I think some things get easier, but some things get harder. One of the things that gets harder is when you've done 20 books, even the 21st, you still have to introduce your main premise and your main core cast of characters. And you don't want to just do narrative. That'd be boring. And that may be the first book that a reader has picked up. So you've got to do it. Who is Temperance Brennan? What is her world in which she functions, as we would say in the Bones writer's room? But it might be the 21st book that somebody's picked up. So you've got to constantly come up with creative ways to reintroduce these characters. I've had her sitting in a faculty meeting where she's bored, so she writes her autobiography. I've had her on the witness stand, being cross-examined, and that brings out the information. So I'm constantly looking for new ways to do that.
Wow. I'm at the point of taking notes.
I'm
literally about to start.
And at this stage, The Bone Hacker is an absolutely incredible title, just to be thrown out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, it has a double meaning. There's going to be some cyber crime involved.
Oh.
But also the victims are showing up with their hands cut off. So the hacked off hands and the hacking. So
incredible. What I was going to ask was, I mean, you mentioned books, 20 years ago, but your debut came out 25 years ago this year. Was it 97?
True. 97. Yeah, that's true. I mean, good at math.
Yeah. And I guess I was wondering, could you tell us a little bit about your publication was an awfully long time ago, but how did you get into writing books? Was it something you always wanted to do and things like that?
No, not really. I had never written fiction. I have no training in creative writing. I avoided literature classes. I wanted to be in the science labs as a student. But I made full professor at the university in 94. So I could do pretty much whatever I wanted to do. And I didn't want to do another textbook or journal article. So I thought I would, and I thought nobody had ever heard of forensic anthropology in 1994. So I thought it was a way to introduce my science to the world, to a broader audience. And also I felt there was this growing interest in forensics. People just were beginning to discover it. Maybe because we here, at least in the States, we were hearing 24/7 the OJ trial. And we were hearing about DNA and blood spatter pattern and, knife trajectory. And so people were beginning to show an interest in forensics. So all of that kind of came together, and I decided I would. And I had just worked on a serial murder case that had some very interesting elements to it, dismemberment elements to it. So I thought I'd take that, and I start with a nugget like that: serial killer, dismembering victims, unusual pattern to it. And then I go, okay, well, what if this, what if that, what if that, what if that? And I change all the names and the dates, the places, and spin it off into fiction.
And when you were writing that first book, was it, did you know what you were doing? I mean, it obviously worked out well.
No, I just tried to write a book, the kind of book I like to read. I did pay attention, kind of deconstructing rather than just reading them for pleasure. I did pay attention to how they were put together. When I decided I was going to write fiction, I paid closer attention to how those books worked and why they worked, and just tried to, do that.
Yeah. Wow. Something that I love how you mentioned timing there, like the timing with the OJ trial, for example, that kind of thing. I remember from reading your work at the time as well, because I always enjoyed Michael Crichton's work at the time as well, and the mashing together of brilliant stories and science and fact. I found such an incredible combination, and it was always it always works for me just so well, we had the great fortune of speaking to David Koepp a few weeks ago as well, with his new books that are coming out. Well, they're out now, but they weren't at the time. And it was the same kind of thing. If you can tell a great story but lace it with facts and science, for me it's such an unbeatable combination. Well,
I agree with you, and they're good old-fashioned murder mysteries. The difference is that the solutions are driven more by science rather than intuitive or old, what do you call, gumshoe work
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that that leads to a question about your research? Are your research processes, I mean, is it all inbuilt, or do you have to go down the rabbit hole?
Oh my goodness, I research everything. I can't imagine writing without a computer and the internet. I research everything. If I've got her making a left turn off of, a particular street, can you do that? Call up Google Earth and she can do that. And I also research, all this. I don't just use forensic anthropology. If all I did was bones and bones, that would be kind of tedious after a while. So I try to use a different kind of forensic science in each book to drive the solution: forensic linguistics or mitochondrial DNA from cat hair, or whatever it happens to be. So I do have, and I'm lucky because I work in a combined medical, legal, and crime lab to have all of those people right there. And they've always been very willing to answer my questions and demonstrate to me, how do you do the analysis of a bite mark in tissue kind of thing.
So you've got like a sounding board on hand across all those disciplines all the time, ready to go.
Yeah, and that's really the only parts of my books, much to my editor's dismay, that I let anyone read before I submit it, is if I've contacted an expert and then I write up that, I'll let them read that. It's brief. I think the science has to be accurate, but it has to be brief. I'll have them read it and they'll tell me if I said anything stupid.
And at this point, I mean, you've just mentioned your incredible series, and when I told my father-in-law that I was going to be speaking to you, he was very excited. So he sent me some questions. If that's okay, can I? If it's okay to ask them. So question one, he says, "Do you know why Lucifer reference your show all the time?"
Do I know? I did not know that.
Ah, there you go.
I know there was always crossover talk of doing a crossover. Are they on I don't know if we're even on the same network, which would make a crossover hard. But yeah, I didn't know they reference us a lot. That's nice to know. Good.
Yeah, apparently so. He said maybe he thought that maybe because there were some actors in both shows that maybe it was like a little nod to it.
Maybe. Some of our interns sneaking over there. Interns, I should say.
And do you know if is there more coming?
Of the Bones show? No. We went 12 seasons. Everybody has, we're the longest running scripted drama in the history.
Incredible. It's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that we went that long is amazing. But everybody's moved on now, or they're doing different things. Emily has got a show and David is doing a SEAL team. I guess he's still doing that, which is doing very well. So, maybe it's popular right now to do a reunion kind of thing where you get together for one show, but not series again, I don't think.
Yeah.
Amazing. I was so excited. And can I ask about how Bones came about? Or, I mean, our listeners really do like hearing the stories of how these things happen, because so many like ourselves are working towards those big breakthrough moments. So how did Bones come about?
Well, I've been approached by a number of people and it just didn't feel right. And then when I met with Hart Hansen, who came to be our showrunner, and Barry Josephson, another executive producer, we were just really on the same page about wanting the humor in the show and wanting it to be a character-based show. We didn't want to do just another police procedural. We wanted to create characters people would care about. So it just seemed the right combination. And so I optioned the character to them, and the rest is history.
Amazing. So excited. One question that we always like to talk about and ask is, like, if you could do anything. I mean, I imagine, sorry, Kathy, you probably are in it, like, you could do anything. If you said tomorrow, right, I'm going to write a romance series.
Right. In terms of writing.
Yeah, in terms of writing. Like, what would
Prima Ballerina is out. We're
I don't know how far, like, you can, there is an elasticity to this.
Olympic swimmer. No, probably not. I could see writing something else, not a romance. I don't read romance. Not that it isn't wonderful, but it's just not my.
No, but anything. If there's are there any sort of writing itches you would like one day to scratch?
I can't say what it is, but I'd like to try something new. My son and I did write a series of young adult books. He's a lawyer. He practiced for 2 whole years, hated it, came to me and said, why don't we do a young adult series? So we did that. We did 6 books. It's called The Virals. And the main character is Temperance Brennan's 14-year-old great niece and her friends, and they solve mysteries and kind of a middle school, high school level using logic and science and breaking codes and that kind of thing. So that was a lot of fun writing that. The books were structurally similar to my adult thrillers, probably longer. There were big, kids like these big honking books.
Yeah.
What differed was the plots were equally as complex. What differs was the dialogue. Obviously, kids don't talk like 50-year-old crusty homicide detectives. And the social concerns of the kids. They're interested in very different things than 50-year-old homicide detective might be. So he handled certain parts, I handled certain parts, and that worked for us.
How was it writing with your son? Was it okay?
It worked. I mean, he's a litigator, so he's very good at arguing his case. Our editorial meetings could be interesting. We did 6 books. I don't have any here, but so we must have worked it out.
Well. Yeah.
Fabulous.
We've got a Twitter question from Dog-Eared Tatty. They said, would there be another book set abroad, and if so, where would you like to set it?
Well, I'm not sure how they're defining abroad. She has gotten around. She's been to Israel. She's been to Guatemala. She's been, where else? To Yellowknife up in the Northwest Territories. She's been out to the Nova Scotia and the Maritimes. In The Bone Hacker, she ends up down in the Turks and Caicos Islands in the Caribbean. So I haven't sent her to Europe yet. I was thinking about it. And then another thriller writer opened a book with her character being in Ireland. So I decided, yeah. But having just come back from 2 weeks in Ireland, back. Yeah, I had a great time. That's back on the table. So yes, I might.
So the things that, when you get your ideas for the next Temperance book, for example, influenced by what you're doing, current events, or, what's your inspiration?
Both. It could be, I wrote one book. I went to Afghanistan a few years ago, part of a USO tour, just to thank our troops for their service there. So the next book that I wrote, our heroine went to Afghanistan. So it could be something that I've been doing personally. It could be a case that I was involved in. It could be ripped from the headlines, as we called it in the writer's room. Lots of, like any author, who knows where your ideas come from.
Yeah.
No, of course. Absolutely.
And just while we're on Twitter, Donna Morfitt, who does a load of stuff for authors over here, a massive influence on that.
Yeah, hey Donna.
Yeah, she's called you a legend, and she said that's why she did a forensics degree. So, you're inspiring people really far away with not just your words, but I guess with how you live. Good for her. Nice thing. We we always sort of ask what are you reading. I know you talked a little bit about what you're reading at the minute, but is there a book that you've got on the go at the minute?
Oh gosh, I've got a stack. I just wrote a thing of 3 books I plan to read this summer. One is, and I don't know it much about any. One of them is it's like the unraveling the forensics in Agatha Christie. So that should be interesting, hopefully. Well written. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my stack. I also am going to read one of the Don Winslow books, City on Fire, which is about the gangs, the Irish and Italian crime syndicates back in the 1980s and 90s on the East Coast. And being of Irish heritage, I thought that would be interesting.
It's a cracker, Kathy. It's really good.
Yeah, I love
that.
It's really very good.
His always are. They just.
Well, I mean, yes, yes, they are.
And what's the other one? I've got a book which is just a woman's, kind of a chick book, I guess, called, what's the name of it? I have to think of it. I can picture the cover. It's orange. Garmus is the author.
Lessons in Chemistry.
Yes, Lessons in Chemistry. So I'm going to give that one a go.
My wife's reading it in a minute and she's really enjoying it.
Awesome. What about when you come over here, Kathy, and you
I apologize for my cat here.
I know it's magnificent. Can we ask the cat's name? Skinny. We love our furry friends on this podcast, so it's lovely to have Skinny on. But when you come over here and you meet your readers over here, I mean, how is that?
Oh, it's great. Getting there is no fun, but being there is fun. I enjoy it. I'm coming for Harrogate this year.
Oh, are you? Excellent.
Yeah, so I'll be flying over, and then I'll be there 4 days, and then I fly back home. Just obviously I like it, or I wouldn't.
Yeah, of course.
Nobody likes airports anymore.
Well, no. In fact, I've got a flight in 5.5 hours.
Oh no,
myself. Yeah,
I've got one tomorrow morning to Indianapolis for the book tour starts.
Right. Nice. So where are you going on the tour?
I'm going to Indianapolis, Houston, Phoenix, where it was 113 degrees Fahrenheit today.
Goodness me.
I know, it was 100 for having this heat thing. Then up to Canada, to Toronto, and then I get a break at home, and then Chicago, and then over to the UK.
Right. Wow. Where you might get a couple of goofy guys in Harrogate saying hello to you because
good, I would love that.
because we're there as well. You've been to Harrogate before though, right?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. No, it's we're looking forward to it. We're very much looking forward to it.
Good time, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And now what about advice? We've got one of the greats on here, Chris. We have to ask, what if you're starting out writing, or you're writing your debut novel and you're finding it hard going, and we all have that crisis of confidence constantly. What words of wisdom can you give us?
Oh, just keep writing. Don't say, today I don't have an inspiration. The muses are not with me. I have writer's block. Forget that. Just write something. You can always edit it. You can always delete it. Also, very, very beginning writers, I'd say join a writers group, and that, you kind of motivate each other. You can critique each other's works, and there's probably a writers group in every little town and city and university. And
yeah, awesome. And, yeah, I like that.
And my sort of one thing, do you have a book that you look on? Like, I mean, every book you write is special, but is there one where you look back and have fond memories of either writing it or releasing it or touring it or whatever? Is there one that sticks out for you?
Researching for Crossbones was really fun. I went to Israel, spent 2 weeks there. I had a colleague from the university that agreed to work for me as my guide. He's a first century Roman occupied Palestine specialist. So we went all over Israel into Masada and the Dead Sea. And so I really enjoyed researching that one a lot.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. We've heard what you're reading, Kathy, but Chris, what are you reading at the moment?
Well, I'm about to finish Dark Matter, which is
Michelle Paver.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm not good with scary things, and this is proper scared me. So yeah,
you're in the right business, buddy.
I know. I put a thing out on Twitter because I kind of like to step out of my comfort zone sometimes, and I thought I really cannot stand scary films because I don't like the sort of jump scare. I don't mind a bit of dread. I don't know if dread's the right word, but I've loved it. But yeah, I'm proper. As soon as the light goes off in my bedroom, I just think, oh man, what's happening now? So I'm just about to finish that, and Orenda Books sent me
nice
Will Carver's new one today, The Dave's Next Door, the little tagline. So, am I dead? Am I God? Will I blow up this train? The man is a genius.
That's a fabulous. That is I mean, yeah, wow, so, yeah, that's amazing.
What about yourself?
Well, I wish I could say something. I'm in the absolute death throes of finishing my latest one. This is unofficially book 17 for me, Kathy, this one. So but this has been just the hardest. But I'm at the word soup point where nothing makes sense and nothing works, and I can't read anything. I can't look at words anymore. They just don't mean anything. Like recently I wrote, you were talking about great lines with your great opening line, Kathy. My addition to this would be, it was a shame for Ronnie because Ronnie was dead. I mean, talk about like laying it out kind of.
Well, that opening line.
I might put it back in after that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, so I can't read. Do you ever get that, Kathy?
Where you can't read? No, not really.
Not really. No,
I mean, that's relaxation and escape, and yeah.
I think it's because I'm on my 5th all-nighter now. Tonight will be number 5, and words they just don't have any meaning for me anymore.
I just don't. Even in university, I never pulled an all-nighter. I can't do that.
No. Yes. Well, we'll get there. We'll be there. We'll be there very soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, Cold Bones is out in a few weeks' time, isn't it? July 21st. So that's like the first day of Harrogate, isn't it?
It's the first day of Harrogate, yeah.
Okay. Amazing. I don't know. It was released here on the 5th.
Ah, cool. So in the UK, yeah. So in the UK, it's a few weeks' time. So, I mean, what a cool way to celebrate it. You'll be here for the release. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, listeners, if you're a fan already, what you're going to get. And if this is your first, you can come in cold from it and you'll be hooked. I just think it's an amazing book. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's that same blockbuster writing that we've come to know and love that, it's just everything. It's great. It's just great. Every time, consistently, exactly what I'm after. It's brilliant. Thank you again, Kathy, for that.
Thank you so much.
We'll be the daft guys at the bar celebrating your new book.
Okay.
But thank you so much for joining us this evening to celebrate our 100th episode. Couldn't think of a better way to do so.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. It has been really cool. So thank you, and it's lovely to meet you.
See you in Harrogate.
Yes.
See you in Harrogate, and thanks. And see you later, Skinny.
Yeah, Skinny's here. He's jonesing for dinner, and it's way too early.
Bad Skinny. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Chris, 100 episodes, dude.
100 episodes, madness.
It is. I think we're in missing man formation. We're flying in missing man formation for our brother Sean, who, I mean, the guy, since he started this, it was he that started this. Mm-hmm. He has had COVID, what we think now is the 4th time.
Yeah.
This is the guy is just cannot get a break. But everything he does for us, the way that he started this, and the sort of the incredible train ride we've been on, Chris, it's just unreal, isn't it? It's been amazing. Yeah,
I mean, getting to speak to the people. I mean, Kathy Reichs in episode 100 is madness, but the people we've had along the way, everyone has just been so cool, and it's just a really cool community to be part of, isn't it? And that would not have happened without Sean giving us that call.
No, I know. And publishing our books.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sean. And it's such a shame you can't be with us, man. Right, Chris, do you have like a favorite moment out of all the the 100 episodes we've done? Sorry, it's a big question when we've not because we literally just said let's have a chat afterwards. And no chance to prepare. But
no, I guess there's sort of two. So one, I think, is finding out that the biggest authors in the world are cool people and have the same doubts and everything that we have, but are also like game for a laugh. I think that's the thing, because if this was coming on after a day at work and having serious chats, I think it would have worn a bit thin. But I think the fact that we can come on and have a laugh and it's been fun is what's kept it going. And I think also number 2 is Matt Veselovsky sort of I don't know if gifting's the right word. I don't know whether he gave it to us or whether we stole it, but that change in the game, I think brought things forward.
I think what happened was he like a mansion, he mentioned it, and then we squatted in it until it became
Yeah.
ours.
And he's
Sorry,
not
Matt.
sued us yet.
I don't know what I've got so many like really early ones, really early memories, like when Sean started mentioning freeholding pigs in the very first episode.
Yeah.
Like I knew this was going to be loads of fun.
Yeah.
And then when we could not hold it together with Noel Holton, who I think was episode 2 or 3 possibly, just could not keep it together and dying. And I think that was the first time Guinness got sprayed everywhere in my home. But then another one was when Chris Whittaker turned, and said, "What do you guys think?"
Yeah.
Like when he said that was like, honestly, I think that might be a pivotal career moment for me. It gave me so much confidence in my life.
Yeah.
When he said that a guy like him could say that to us.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I'm not grouping you in with my existential crisis. Chris.
I'd be glad to be in with your existential crisis. Yeah, that's fine.
Who do you have a favorite 1-star moment? I've got an unfavorite 1-star moment.
I think I know what yours is. I think my favorite one was today. On Victoria Selman's, where she took umbrage with him ever putting his fingers on a keyboard.
Yes, and it sort of descended to murder.
Yeah.
very, very quickly.
I think that's up there. That's fresh in my mind.
Yes, that was a very, very good
yours
one.
Is Shari?
Oh no, it's because Shari LaPena is just one of the nicest, greatest people. And when we saw, like, she said to me, "Please, would you read out the entirety of the 1-star the 1-star review?" And it wasn't a good one. It wasn't like a funny one or anything like that. It was just a very, damning. Unnecessarily damning, by the way, and totally unfounded pile of nonsense. But it was not funny, and it was very awkward.
Yeah.
So when I, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night worrying about that.
Thinking about it.
I'm serious. Yeah. It's either that or missing a deadline at university. Like, oh my god, I'm not there. Oh my god, I've got to read a 1-star to Shari. But also, man, your work on the festivals.
You've done work on the festivals.
No. Listeners, right. What happens with the festivals is we agreed to do one. Then Chris sent us this astonishingly brilliant itinerary of ideas. And we were like, well, yeah, dude, if you can get them, go for it. And he only went and got them. And it's just, he is the absolute brains behind the festival. Chris, you're a star, man.
Thank you. And 2023... a lot. I'd say nearly most of them have agreed already.
And some of those names, I mean, it's I nearly said it's, what is it? It's Stinky. No, it's not Stinky anyway. it's Sweaty Palm. No, not Sweaty Palms. Yeah, it's like, oh, sheesh. As if they said yes.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. These people just like giving up their free time.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we've been lucky enough, Chris and I, to see the slate of guests we've got coming, and can't believe.
I know.
Can't believe. So there's plenty more where that came from.
Yeah, and I think what a massive thing at the minute, and I mean it's down to the people that listen, and on Twitter. There's been a few in the past week, I think, where people have said, what's a good, like, sort of book podcast to listen to? And our name is getting put in there. And, I mean, it's amazing to see that people, first of all, are enjoying it and do recommend us, because that is very, very cool for three little men that sit in a room. And
you're absolutely right. Honestly, it's insane. It is. And so, like, listeners, what's happened recently is, like, I don't know, Chris, I think we talk off air about this kind of stuff. But sometimes, like, I was in a meeting recently and someone said, like, yeah, we wanted to talk to you because of your work on the Blood Brothers podcast. It's you listeners who are doing this, you're driving this by listening. So thank you so much. I'm still whispering, aren't I?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
People
I'm never going to make this flight
volume.
at 3 a.m.
And then they'll get that in their ear.
Yes, then they'll get a big stinky laugh. Yeah, sorry about the laugh as well. It's relentless. I
That's what's
can't
made the
control
show.
it. No, I don't think it's that. Listeners, thank you so much for everything.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been so great, and your feedback about listening and chatting with us and everything, it's just mega. Thank you. And we're at Harrogate in a couple of weeks. Please come and have a beer with us. It'd be mega to see you.
Yes, absolutely agreed. And thank you for everything. And
Thank you for everything.
here's to the next 100.
Yes, I'll see you for. No, I'll see you. Well, no, we're doing one on Monday, aren't we? So, see you Monday, Chris.
It's a good one on Monday too.
Wait, hang on. No, we are Monday.
Should we give him? We don't usually do it, do we? Don't really.
We don't,
usually
but
say-
like, if we do a little. Oh, it's a good one on Monday.
It's Katie Watson who's written the
It
three.
is. It is.
I say Dahlias, but I'm not sure that's right after chatting to Leslie.
It
Kara.
is. I mean, what I can tell you about Katie Watson is I can drop a little bit of a nugget in here, but she's going to be at Crime Central. next month.
Whoa.
Oh, 30th of July. Dating the podcast here, but 30th of July. If you're listening to this in 2027, it happened in 2022.
It's like a Kathy Reichs thing, isn't it? Just dropping in the date, but with no year.
Yes, yeah.
We've brought
That
it full
would've
circle.
worked. That would have worked. I know, yeah. Like we planned it. Chris, love you, buddy. Sean,
See ya.
love you, bud.
Yeah.
Get better, man.
And
Oh,
speak
heck.
to you soon. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
This is a tale of the supernatural.
The Tapes, a podcast of the uncanny.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Join me, host Christopher Goldie, and guests as we discuss the best in unsettling television and film.
Who is this? Who is coming?
Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search for @TheTapesPod, part of the Pod Dojo Network.